morning, everyone. Today I will be doing a reading vlog. I'm thinking about doing these once a month. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lena. I make college and book related videos here on YouTube, and today is a reading vlog. It is a Monday and it is a little after 8. It's like 8:15 or so. And today I've decided will be my reading day this week because I'm working the rest of the week and I want to get as much reading done as I possibly can today. I have one book chosen. I might film a little bit tomorrow, depending on what happens tomorrow. But I also have other things that I'm doing today. I am working on sourdough bread right now, which is not going as well as it should be going. I also have a few meetings for school-related stuff. For those of you who don't know, I'm not in college right now, but I still have a million little things to be doing. But the main goal of today is to read, and I hope to read and probably maybe finish A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. For those of you who saw my library book haul, you would have seen that this was one of the books I checked out. I've actually read all of the books I checked out from the library except for this one, so I'm really happy with how far I've gotten on that list. This is a fantasy book and it follows the story of Diana Bishop, who is a witch working at Oxford. She works in the library and she comes across this really old book. She senses that there's like magical and deeper meaning in this book, but she just sends it back to the stacks. But then all of these other creatures start showing up, demons, vampires, you name it, they're all showing up. Of course, one of the people who shows up is a vampire named Matthew, definitely romance in there. This book is supposed to be known for its fantasy as well as its historical references. So I'm looking forward to the historical aspect of it. I checked out another fantasy book in my last round of library books, which was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, and I was not very impressed with that book, even though it had gotten pretty good reviews. So I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high for this book. I'm just treating it as another fantasy book. I'm also not a huge person that's into vampires and witches and that sort of thing, so we'll see how that part goes. But I am really excited to get to this. It is 579 pages, I believe, so it's a pretty big book. I have about 40 minutes before I need to do my next step for sourdough, so I'm going to read for the next 40 minutes and I will check in with you later. So contrary to popular opinion, I started making sourdough in 2018, so I've actually been making it for quite some time. We made it for the first time with my French class in high school, and we made our own starters, and so I've had this starter since 2019. You know, when I started making bread this morning, I just had a feeling that something was going to go wrong, and at this point when I was working on the bread, I already knew something had gone wrong. As you can see, the dough is not sticking as well together, so at this step I'm just shaping them gently into 2 rounds before I let them sit for another 20 minutes. So after they had risen for 20 minutes, I brought them back and I was going to shape them more tightly into 2 rounds. As I continued this process, I realized more and more that my mistake had actually been bigger than I thought. Clearly the dough is not as pliable as it should be, but I just decided to stick it through because, you know, I'd come too far. So I just continued to work the bread dough. I do not have a proofing basket or any of those things. I'm a little more old-fashioned, hence the towels and the flour and that kind of stuff. But I was just trying my best at this point and hoping that after it baked, it would be okay. Okay, so just put my bread in the oven and I knew it. I just knew it when I was working on it this morning before I started the vlog. I was thinking to myself, something's going to go wrong today with the bread, and I was right. I think I messed up on the water amount because in my recipe, the water amount has never worked out for me, and in the past I've put too much water in and that really messes with the bread. And I don't think I put in enough water this time. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm trying to stay positive. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it's gonna turn out as beautiful or delicious as I hoped. Hopefully it will taste fine and maybe just not look so good. Some initial thoughts are, I really like Diana Bishop as a main character. I admire her work as a researcher. I find all of the discussions and thoughts that she has about her work really interesting, and I love the atmosphere at Oxford. That's just something that I love, is the whole like academic side of things, which is something that this book was known for, and I'm really enjoying that part of it. I love all of the descriptions of tea. It's phenomenal. And I just think it's really interesting to read all about that kind of thing. However, I will say this book is really like, I'm just not a vampire, demon, witch book kind of person. Like, I can read books like that, but it's just like so weirdly reminiscent of Twilight, and I don't know if that's because Twilight's the only thing I have to go off of. I don't think I've ever said this on my channel, but basically I got a concussion in my sophomore year of high school. I was told that I couldn't read, couldn't do any of those things, but I could listen to audiobooks that wouldn't require too much brain work. So I listened to Twilight on audiobook because it was free on YouTube at the time. And I don't really remember it because I was drifting in and out of sleep, but like, that series was not good. I, for the most part, can remember the first and second book, but the third and fourth book really are not there in my mind. But from what I remember, I was not impressed. And obviously, like, I've seen clips from the movies. I haven't actually seen the movies, but Matthew in this book is just not doing it for me. I feel like he's doing too much of the possessive, creepy, can't control myself, like, you can control yourself, please stop. I hate that whole trope. I hate the possessive trope because it's okay to care about someone, but like, he's going too far, and I just hate that this is constantly perpetuated. Overall, I would say what's making it for this book is the academic part, the research, the different fields of study, all of Diana's work, her thoughts. I also think it's really interesting as we weave through the different worlds, because it is interesting to think about how different the demons, vampires, and witches are from each other, and there are politics running through those different groups, so I definitely think that is interesting to think about. I plan to make lunch, take my bread out of the oven, hope to read this more this afternoon. I have a meeting at 2 o'clock, and I wanted to work out this afternoon. And I think other than that, I don't have much to do. I think I have like some paperwork to do for college stuff, but I'm going to make lunch, take my bread out of the oven, and then get back to reading, and I will check in with you later. I did warn you that my bread was going to look a little funky. Yeah, it's just bad. I mean, hopefully it tastes okay. It did not hold its shape well. This is not a cut. It literally just like the dough, I don't know. I think it's because I didn't put enough water in. The dough didn't want to like hold together and stick. So this is what we're left with. Hopefully it's not raw on the inside because it didn't stick as well. It also didn't want to rise as well. So, you know, we're not doing too well, but hopefully I'll have some later on tonight after it's done cooling, and I will let you know if it ended up tasting okay. But for now, to brighten my spirits, I'm going to go back to reading. So my meeting's about to start in 5 minutes, so I'm gonna stop reading right now. I'm on page 249. The cats are back to cuddling with each other, so cute, but I'm gonna go set up for my meeting, and then hopefully after that I think I'm gonna work out, and then I will get back to reading. So I put my hair up because I am getting ready to work out, hence why I also changed my clothes, but I just finished up with my advising meeting. It's a little bit before 3 o'clock right now. I didn't get any more reading done because I just had my advising meeting, and it was just to talk about the classes I'm going to be taking in my next semester. For those of you who don't know, I'm not in school right now because my school did 3 semesters instead of 2, and each student was given 2 of the 3 semesters to be in, so I'm actually going to school in the summer. Lucky me. Just checking in with what classes I needed to take to be on track for both of my majors, as well as all that other stuff. I think in a week or 2 we're registering for classes. So, we shall see how that goes, but for now I'm going to work out, and then after I work out, I'm hoping to get some more reading done because there's still a big chunk of that book left. So I will check in with you all later. So I just finished working out. It is now 3:49. The cats are still sleeping over in their chair together. I don't think I've updated you on my thoughts on the book. I haven't moved from page 249. But as I said at my advisor meeting, finished working out, and now I'm back ready to read. Matthew is still really frustrating me as a character. I don't like his whole controlling aspect. If he wasn't so awful, this book would be a lot better for me. I really enjoy Diana as a character. I think she's really interesting and fascinating. I think that I really like the academic setting. I like all the research and the historical references that are happening. I think Deborah Harkness is doing a pretty good job with building the world. I'm just really fascinated by the whole academic thing. I think that's what's really making the book for me, combined with Diana's character, because I really like her. I'm just worried that Matthew's going to ruin her and the relationship's going to ruin her, similar to Twilight, which is really my only experience with the whole vampire. I'm trying to think if I've read other vampire books. I'll have to come back to you if I read other vampire books, but my only reference point is Twilight, and Bella wasn't much of a character to begin with from what I remember, but her relationship with Edward, really pushed her into the I am a one-dimensional character who's just waiting for my controlling, abusive boyfriend to swoop in and be with me. So I'm not enjoying that, and I'm really worried that that might happen with Matthew. I will say that their relationship is progressing at a more natural progression, or at least as natural as it can be, while ticking a lot of the tropes. A couple other things that have to be done tonight that are like schoolwork, paperwork, boring stuff. So I'll have to figure out when I'm gonna do that, but for now I'm going to read. So it is now Wednesday morning, and I believe the last clip that I filmed was Monday night. I finished Discovery of Witches last night, which was Tuesday. And overall, I think I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 stars. I wanted to give it a higher rating for about probably like the first half of the book or so. As I said, I really liked Diana as a character. I found her work to be fascinating. I liked her position as a professor and researcher. I thought that was all very interesting, and I thought she was unique and a really strong character. She also seemed to be really interested in her work, which I really enjoyed as well, because it made me interested in her work. I really liked the academic setting with the library and the studying and the research and all of the academic references and things like that. I've also really enjoyed that. However, the first time Matthew was described, I laughed out loud. To be honest, it was so cheesy, but then I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'm just gonna go along with it. I'm going to embrace the cheesiness, because that is, I think, part of the paranormal romance genre. As I've mentioned before, I'm not really into paranormal romance. I haven't read a ton of it. I've read some. Her relationship with Matthew progressed, while it was at a more natural rate and speed than probably some romance novels. He kind of destroyed who she was as a person. She lost her backbone. She listened to so much he said. Even when she stood up against him, it just seemed like so trite, and like it wasn't real, and like the Diana that I thought I liked and I thought I was rooting for was not there anymore. It was kind of sad to see, because she had had so much in her life up until that point, and then she just became someone who was constantly like, but I have Matthew. I'm with Matthew now. Matthew, and that was just like a lot to take in. I also think some people have pointed out that there's way too many storylines going on at once, and to be honest, towards the end I started skimming all of like the DNA discussions, because there was a lot going on, going to try to prevent spoilers, but started to make me not care as much as the book progressed, especially towards the end. I started to really not care as much, and that's when things were supposed to be starting to pick up. And when I finished the book, I was like, I really don't care what happens in the next book. And then my final thing is, This might just be a connection to all paranormal romance, but I do think the Twilight connections are very blatantly obvious. He likes to watch her sleep. Clearly he's a vampire. He's old-fashioned. He's very, very, very controlling. He gets to decide when they have sex, like even if she wants it and he wants it, he gets to dictate that. He's borderline abusive and abusive in his power over her. He doesn't want her to turn into a vampire. He thinks he always knows more than her. When they get together, she slowly starts to fade away into nothing. I mean, I think Diana is a more likable character than Bella is, and I think that this series is probably less problematic than the Twilight series. Overall, 2 out of 5 stars. Not sure if I would recommend, unless you're into paranormal romance and you love Twilight. I mean, it might be a good go. It's like a more mature adult version of Twilight. But thank you so much for watching today's reading vlog. If you have any questions about books or you have book recommendations or questions about college, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. As always, I will see you all next week.